Hi Steve, lovely to meet up with you as always up at the studio and do some work on your game. Just a quick recap on the key points that we covered. Really got into what the elbows were doing and the effects that was having on the club, the shoulders, the tilts, etc. During this most recent session. Also talked a little bit about what we see there on the top left of your screen. So we've got the elbows dividing, we've got the shoulders turning on too much of a level angle rather than on more of a tilted angle. And we've also got the right knee straightening at too fast a rate. Now, based on what we were doing last time, I wasn't too concerned about that. You were hanging on to the flexing that right leg, way too much. And that's just typical of yourself. You've just gone away, you've worked really hard at it, and you've got too good, if you will, at straightening that right leg. Remember what we're looking at, if the right leg's bent approximately 25 degrees at P1, what we'd like to see is the right leg straightening incrementally. So we lost 7% or 7 degrees, P1 to P2, further 7 degrees, P2 to P3, and then a further 7 degrees, P3 to P4. That would leave us with approximately 4 degrees of knee flex in the right leg. So that right leg has straightened incrementally, and it does change from club to club. The further we want to hit the ball, the more we want to straighten that right leg, because that allows the hips to keep turning, and obviously it has a subsequent effect on the shoulders and the amount that the left arm stroke butt of the golf club can travel. So squeezing the elbows together a little bit more and controlling the rate at which the right leg straightens were the key points we looked at within this session. And you can see here we've got the little rugby ball on the lanyard around the neck, just to give you something to squeeze with the forearms. You can see when you do this, the left shoulder works down much better. Accumulator 3 doesn't load quite as fast, and the elbows are in a completely different condition at P2. From there, as the right arm flexes, it can work the club upwards. So that's where the elevation onto that higher plane comes in. So the ability to flex the right arm and have it work the club upwards is essential for tidying up what goes on from P2 to P4. And there's still a little bit of too much straightening of the right leg. At that point, you can see the pressure moving into that right heel. The right toe sort of rolls up and off the ground. So we want to calm that down and have the pressure positioned much more towards the ball of the right foot. Having said that, if we look at the effects that this exercise has had on the overall look of your backswing, we know the shaft sets in a better manner. So rather than the arms and the flexing of the arms pushing the club flatter, resulting in a sort of lift to the top, you can see now that the club is much more in line, much more in a neutral position in regards to what the left wrist is doing as well. Right elbow's in a much better condition, obviously. The effect that had through the ball was quite remarkable. When we look at your movement through the ball at the start of your session, far from a disaster, but nowhere near as tidy as what we see towards the end of your session, where everything's moving through in a much better manner. A little bit more linear movement, a little bit calmer with the extension. That right heel banking in much more. Take a little look at this from down the line. Club got a little bit out in front of you on this one. I was more concerned about that right foot rolling in, banking inwards. So we've got the linear, the sliding of the hips and the extending of the hips at a nice rate. Previously what we used to get was quite a steepening of the shaft and then a quick extension, so the right heel popping up, really just to sort of keep the club or allow you to hit out at that golf ball, even though we've had a sort of steepening as we started down, potential for the club to tumble way out in front of the hands, and then that tucking kicks in. It's always been a little bit excessive, whereas now we see less of that and we see a little bit more rolling of the right foot through the ball. It's a little bit more of a slide as we turn and extend. Much improved action. I look forward to seeing how this develops over the coming months. Good luck with it. Work nice and hard, and I will forward you some dates in the next day or so. Well done.